What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? I just wanted to make another video today about really comparing like high-end, high-tier, elite hockey equipment against, the mid-tier, quote-unquote, like affordable stuff. I found myself wondering a lot of the time, especially now as a fully grown adult that pays for his own stuff, is it worth my time to buy these, $350, $400 sticks or skates or whatever it is? Or should I just go with the cheaper option? And I just want to talk about it a little bit today and maybe open some of your minds up to the fact that, you don't have to spend $400 on a stick to score goals. That's at least my opinion anyway, as an average beer leaguer. But let's start with sticks. It's really not that complicated. When you're buying a stick, at least in my opinion, there's a couple of things you really want to look at. Number one is kick point, at least for me. Low kick, medium kick, high kick. There's a nice little diagram here. Essentially, snapshots, wrist shots, you're really going to want the low kick, or at least that's what they tell you. And I'll talk about this in a second, but that's what that's built for. The low kick is built for those quick, off-the-stick shots, the quick passes, while still maintaining the strength to, receive passes and take a couple slap shots every now and then. They're built for those kinds of players. You got your mid-kick. ChatGPT, for some reason, says that that's built for slap shots and accuracy. I would disagree. I think it's supposed to be a happy medium between both for players that can't make up their minds. But, whatever you think it's worth, that's what it's supposed to do, apparently. It's like the affordable option, I guess. It kind of does a little bit of everything. I remember the Jet Speed when that first came out. Like the Jet Speed FT2, I think, was my first mid-kick stick. I really, really liked it, honestly. Could I tell you the difference between that and like a Fly Light at the time? Probably not, but I thought it was a good option, and it did me well. So then you have your high kick. These are going to be like your Tax, your XF, your ASV, or even some of your Warrior sticks have a high kick. These are supposed to be for your power forwards, your offensive defensemen, your blue line slap shots. I would even argue that these high kicks are really good for down low in the dirty areas, kind of getting deflections and stuff because they tend to be more durable. They're built really for that kind of a play style. Now, what's the difference when you talk about all of these kicks? Not a whole lot. And this is kind of the main point of the video, and I'll keep talking a little bit more. But where am I going with this? Really, what I'm trying to say is these are the things that matter when you're talking about sticks. You're looking at flex point, you're looking at stipple grip, whatever, the curve, the length even. Some guys are senior level that like intermediate sticks. But really, what's the difference between these like high-end sticks versus the mid-tier ones? Not a whole lot. It really comes down to weight. That's really at the core of the argument what it is. The high-end sticks are almost always light. They are super light. You have your Fly Light from a couple of years ago. Now you have Hyper Light 2, ASV. You can't go wrong. They're all super light. Especially, you get these crazy ones like the ADV. Look at this one's got a hole in the blade to save weight. Then you got, your creature comforts like stipple grip versus smooth. You got your blade curve. Those are all important. And then the last one is really like preference, honestly. It's what do you like? There's tons of data that backs up that, look good, feel good. If you like the stick you're using, then use it. It's not really going to change your whole game unless you're at an elite level already. What kind of stick you're using, whether you're using an ASV or a Hyper Light or a Warrior or a True or a Nexus, whatever you want to use, unless you're Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews or somebody that's really getting the absolute most out of these sticks, you're probably not going to be able to tell the difference. And some of those guys probably couldn't either. Essentially, it's all about saving weight, realistically. They want to say it's this performance, it's that performance. But at the end of the day, you really look at it, you're not getting the performance out of that stick unless you're an elite player already, at which point then you can validate the purchase of that stick. But up until that point, you might as well get something mid-tier. I have an XF right now. I love it. It's great. I just came from the Jet Speed FT5 Pro, which is still an older one, but it was a top-tier stick at the time. I came from that down to an XF, and I play better with the XF. Just because I know if it breaks, I'm not out $400. I'm out, $150 or $200 or whatever it was. So really when you're looking at the kind of analyzing the decision of should I buy this or should I buy the mid-tier version, At least in my opinion, go with the mid-tier. You really don't need the high tier unless you got the money to spend. Now, when you start talking about skates, I think this is where it differs a little bit, and kind of trying to tie this into the main point of the video. This is the one exception, in my opinion, where what you spend is what you get. Here's a funny little Quora post that I found that says that skates can last decades. Although I do think it's a little far-fetched, they will last you a long time. I've had my skates for probably 6-7 years now. Is it time to upgrade? Yeah, maybe. But I don't have a problem with them. There's nothing wrong. The eyelet comes off here or there, or the wax wears off on my laces, or the boot holder, like the actual blade holder, maybe gets a little bit yellow. But in terms of doing the skates job, it does. Nothing really beats up quickly with these skates. It takes a long time just to break them in. And I think that skates are, as I said, the exception to the rule, where it's like what you pay for is what you get. If you're going to use these skates for 7 years, you might as well buy the expensive pair. Get the $1,000 Hyperlight 2s if that's what you like. If you don't feel personally that that's worth it, then don't, But if it were me and I plan on playing hockey for a long time, sure, I'll get the nicest pair of skates, and it's going to put a dent in my wallet, absolutely. But I'll still have those skates 7 years from now, and even though they won't be the newest, greatest thing, they were the best at the time, and I know they're going to be comfortable. So that's what I'm talking about, Especially, look at these things. These are hot. This is peak sty. You look at these, honestly, favorite pair of skates all time. I wish I had bought them when they were still new. The 2X Pros. And that's a great example. I know tons of guys rocking 2X Pros now that, maybe it's not the Hyperlight 2 or anything, but what's the difference between a guy wearing the 2X Pros and the Hyperlight 2s? Almost nothing. Realistically, he's not going to be any faster than you just because he's wearing Hyperlight 2s 99% of the time. It's going to come down to stride length or technique or skating or whatever you want to call it. It's about the guy wearing the boots, not what kind of boot you're wearing. Now, when you spend the money, however, you're getting comfortability, and there is some scientific difference. You know what I mean? Like when you look at a mid-tier stick versus a high-tier stick, it really comes down to weight, in my opinion. That's what changes. With boots, it's a little different. It's not just lighter. The boot overall is stiffer. It helps with energy transfer. It helps with durability. The Aerolite tongue in the new Hyperlight 2s is supposed to be super flexible, which supposedly increases your agility. Like the boot, I think, and the skate in general are the one exception in terms of when you pay more money, you're getting more value. And obviously there's outliers here and there, but I think that the skates are kind of the exception there. And this is where I would spend my money personally. When you start to look at things like helmets, definitely not. At least in my opinion. I think there's a hard line. Is it worth it to spend a little extra cash? Absolutely. But I do think there is a line. If Bauer comes out with a brand new helmet and you have the brand, like the top of the line helmet from 2 years ago, you don't need to upgrade. You really don't. If you're playing elite level hockey, maybe, or if you're in the NHL, absolutely, because you're getting it for free. But realistically, if you have, let's say, the Super Tax helmet or whatever the newest helmet is at the time, do you need to upgrade to the newest React? Probably not. The newest technology in helmets that I can think of is that new 3D printing mesh that they're doing, the Nest material in the new helmets that's supposed to be lighter, more breathable, and also just as protective. But realistically, are concussions going down? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? Of course, they've decreased over the time since like the 70s, but realistically, concussions are going down year to year, but not directly attributed to the advancements made in helmet technology. It's more about like sensors in the helmets that can detect certain level of impact force, or you have more adjustability that's changed, and it's allowed players to be more comfortable and have custom fitted helmets that are more protective because they fit better. It's things like that. It's not necessarily the actual helmet itself that's changing and providing a better safety guarantee. And that kind of goes for all the protective equipment. You have shoulder pads, knee pads, all that stuff, pants even. There's really a line where, okay, you have enough padding and the technology is not good enough to guarantee you any more safety if you spend any more money. So that's kind of my take on that scenario. So where am I going with all this? Essentially, I want to answer the question of, is it worth your time to buy the expensive stuff? For most of us, no. The answer is no. Realistically, no. If you have the money and it's something that you want and you find that you enjoy hockey enough, you're going to use it, sure. Absolutely go for it. But if you don't, if you're like contemplating, spending just that little bit extra of your already dwindling disposable income in today's economy, Or if it's like you're really on the fence and you don't really play hockey so much anymore, no, man, don't go out and buy a Hyperlight 2 stick. You don't need that. You're not going to get the benefit of it other than it's going to be light. And really, that's all you should be looking for in a stick is, does it match the curve that I like? Does it look good? And is it light? Because lightness is really going to make a difference. But realistically, does it matter if you're using a Trigger 9 Pro or if you're using a Trigger 9 flat? You know what I mean? Or if you have an XF versus an ASV 5 Pro or something crazy like that. No, you're not going to extract the value from these elite level sticks unless you're playing elite level hockey. And realistically, the majority of people are not playing that level of hockey to notice the difference. And I think that's really the point that I want to get across here. You can feel free to comment down below if you feel differently or whatnot, but I'd love to kind of discuss that. But I appreciate you guys listening in, and I'll catch you in the next one.